I remember when I got Devilman, I was really excited to give this one a try, and then I couldn't get into it at all. Of course, this time I needed to really figure out the game, and I had one big question hanging over it before I started. Was it based on the comic or the cartoon? The offbeat history of Devilman makes that not a trivial question. As a horror comic, Devilman is hugely influential. There's a lot of body horror and psychosexual imagery, enough that it was a challenge to find images that I could share while keeping this channel family friendly. The thing is, the comic was made simultaneously with the cartoon, and the idea for the cartoon came first. And since all they wanted out of the cartoon was to sell toys, it was a generic superhero show. I have a high tolerance for this kind of thing, and I find the Devilman cartoon to just be a snore. Fortunately, in recent years, Netflix has commissioned an adaptation that is very close to the original comic. So going into this game, I was wondering, is this going to be about body horror, the collapse of society, the disintegration of identity? Or is it going to be about a guy who turns into a superhero and punches monsters? Yeah, it was the second one. Well, it's not 100% true. They added some events from the comic to the game, but they're placed in the context of the cartoon. Just changing the final boss doesn't really carry a lot of weight. The game is a side-scrolling action-adventure title. The adventure mainly consists of navigating the maze-like levels and talking to people in rooms. To talk to someone, you walk on top of them, hit start, and choose talk. There's a lot of people sending you in circles, walking back and forth between locations, and even a bit of requiring you to talk to the same person multiple times in order to trigger events. The meat of the game is in the action. The A button jumps, the B button attacks, and most of your attacks are just punching. Once you've jumped through an introductory hoop, you can hit select at any time to turn into Devilman. Choosing up will increase your power level, choosing down goes down by 1. Akira is your normal human form, and he'll take extra damage and can't do much damage, but people are also going to be more willing to talk to him. More importantly for the action, when Akira hits something, it builds up an anger meter. First you get a heart, then it turns to a Devilman face. You can build that meter up quite high. The catch is, you're really vulnerable as you're trying to build that meter up. Strengthening it will also cause you to take a lot of damage, because the combat here is really sloppy. Some enemies will bounce back when you punch them, but some will just keep going, and if their invulnerability wears off while they're still in contact with you, then you get hit. The hitboxes for attacks don't match the animations especially well, and that makes you a lot more vulnerable than it looks. The reason you want to build up that anger meter is because when you turn into Devilman and you have some anger built up, you can throw fireballs. While you're Devilman, the anger meter ticks down, and when you run out, you're reduced to just punching. But you're still much stronger than Akira, and take a lot less damage. And while you're Devilman, and you reach certain events in the story, you can choose to go up one more power level, and become a giant skyscraper-sized monster. While you're at this size, when you jump you can fly around a bit. So each of your 3 power levels have a different jump height. You've got enough air control that the platforming in Devilman isn't too difficult, but it's also not very good. These rather mundane-looking platforms require quite a bit of precision. And that's really a theme in Devilman. None of this looks like much, but you take so much damage, the enemy attacks are so direct, and the jumping is so precise, that the difficulty is really high on this one. I made it to the second boss while I was playing. You can't easily build up anger, so most of my attempts were just punching him. Also, punching a boss apparently doesn't build up your anger meter at all. One thing I found interesting in the game is that you can play as other characters. In one segment of the adventure, you switch over to controlling Akira's girlfriend, although she can't really defeat any of the monsters herself. Sometimes while you're exploring, you'll get a signal that there's a person who needs help, and then you may spot someone being held by a monster. You'll be asked if you want to try to rescue them, And if so, the person runs away, and you have to fight the monster yourself. And the monster, even though it looks like a regular one, can take you down in 2 hits. Devilman was a huge disappointment for me. I had my fingers crossed going into this video that maybe I just hadn't given it enough of a chance before. Maybe by following a guide to get me over those initial adventure gaming humps, I'd find something cool and interesting. I did not. The adventuring was just annoying with all of those nearly identical areas, and then the action swung back and forth heavily from trivially easy to frustratingly difficult. First Devilman bores you, then it starts to hurt you. This is the kind of low-quality cash-in title I've come to expect from Bandai, not Namco.